Okay, let's get this started, okay, everybody, because this is something I never thought that I would say, but there is breaking news on the religion front. Did you hear, everybody, that Pope Francis is now endorsing civil unions between gay couples? This news broke after a documentary that he's featured in was released yesterday, and this news came out in that. And he said that LGBTQ plus people, they have the right to a family just like everybody else. Is this groundbreaking news for all of you?
I thought he said that before, like 5 years ago. I didn't know it was now. That's good. I didn't, can popes have sex? I didn't know they can't have sex, right? I don't know
No.
why.
Nope.
It's like, yeah, I feel like it's like, he has no, like, it really isn't his business. Like, he's not really out here like that. But I thought, yeah, I think it's good, obviously, and it's in the right direction. But I think probably people are going to be. I thought it was like he had said something like this before, like 5 years ago. I didn't know it was like news now.
Yeah, he had said that. Who was he to judge about people's gay lifestyle? That's what he said.
Nancy from Facebook wrote to us and said, I think it's a drop in the bucket of undoing and changing all the hate and damage this church has caused. But hey, the bucket gets filled drop by drop. It's a move in the right direction. And one of many moves made by this Pope. I think it's good. And I hear you, Nancy. There has been quite a lot of, for as many people who are filled with love and an amazing spirit, who are part of the Catholic community, there has been a lot of damage, and we cannot look away from that incredible damage. I was somebody who was raised Catholic, and one of the things that really turned me off as I got older were the immense amount of contradictions I saw that were so consistent. One of the things was the stance on gay people. On the one hand, we were taught that Jesus doesn't judge, that Jesus was preaching love for everyone, let he who is without sin cast the first stone kind of thing. And somehow legions of Catholic followers felt entitled to being awful to the LGBTQ community in the name, supposedly, of God. And I found that to be a heinous thing. And honestly, I'll just say this, for a religion that basically created a situation where men who went into the priesthood were not allowed to marry women, and yet were expected to live and work with other men in a kind of union called the priesthood. To reject gay marriage has always seemed a little bit ridiculously lacking in self-awareness. It's a very do as I say, not as I do kind of story. I could go on and on about this, but all I can say is it's about time.
I wish I was as hopeful as you that it's about time, Sin, because I think this makes absolutely or virtually no difference in the actual practicing of the faith. And the reason why I say that is, although I think it seems groundbreaking and positive that the Pope says this, it actually has zero bearing on what the church itself is going to do, which is precisely zero. It's doing nothing to change its practices. The bishops and the conservative arm of the Catholic Church, they themselves are kind of like, whoa, Pope, what are you saying here? But at the end of the day, they've all said, well, still in the Catholic Church, marriage is between a man and a woman. So unfortunately, what I think this is going to do is, for those who have left the church, were thinking, should I go back, especially for a younger generation, what I think this move does is actually solidify that the church is out of step with life today, that it basically says, sure, countries, do what you want civilly. Oh, but are we going to change anything? No. And I think it just reaffirms for young people who already don't see themselves being welcomed into the church to say, I was maybe thinking about it, but not going back. And unfortunately, when you look at countries where they're trying to expand the church, which happens to be in the Southern Hemisphere, I look at countries in Latin America, South America, and the countries that are trying to push back and legalize same-sex marriage, guess where the number one pushback is coming from in all of those countries? The Catholic Church. So unfortunately, even though it sounds like he's a woke Pope, this is a whole much to do about nothing.
Yeah, Mel, I kind of agree with you, but on different grounds. I know that you said that there are some people that this won't make any difference, but I mean, there are people who have been turned away from the faith who will respond to this. I think we're hearing some of that, seeing some of that on our social media right now. And I can't help but look to the statement that Pope Francis released. I'll read some of it. He said, quote, homosexual people have the right to be in a family. They are children of God. You can't kick someone out of a family. the use of family and children in this statement, to me, I wonder whether or not this was a choice to be made to strengthen another Catholic position that is very concerning for people, and that is reproductive rights. If you're going to make this decision and have this position on the basis of family, it strengthens their resolve in family in a different way. And that, to me, is talking directly to abortion. It's talking to directly about telling women what they can and can't do with their bodies. And I find that alarming if you're going to use one thing that wasn't great to strengthen another thing that wasn't great.
I agree. I mean, Krista from Facebook says, why does it take the Pope to say this for people to get it? The Catholic religion is so far behind. We should already be accepting of everyone without having to be told by the Pope. Love is love. And Krista, I 1000% agree. Listen, I'm from a younger generation where the Pope, to me, doesn't really hold that much significance. And that's just honesty. I'm not trying to be respectful, but it doesn't take the Pope to tell me what is right in society and right in life. Love is love, as Krista had mentioned. For me, Dave, why you did think that he said this 5 years ago is because he did, and a lot of people did, but they were tiptoeing around it. And they were saying, well, you know, we must not judge. Well, you know, we must love. And to me, it never, ever sat right with me. It missed the mark for me, because what it said to me was, love the sinner, but hate the sin. And that to me is way, way, way wrong. And so what I'm trying to understand why him coming out and saying this right now is so significant is because in the language, he validated same-sex marriage. He equalized it in that sense. But for me, what's so frustrating is, why are we here just now? This should have been something that is a part of us for from forever. And so no one gets pats on the back here from me. You don't get cookies for doing the right thing or saying the right thing. This should be just a part of how we are. Listen, I grew up in a very religious family. I consider myself to be spiritual. And those were non-compromise factors and points of values for me. You treat everybody the same. You are allowed to marry whomever you want to marry. You're allowed to love whomever you want to love. And so for me, it's not moving much weight in terms of my stance and relationship to the church as someone who's young and may want to head that way.
Yeah, I agree with you too. It's like he said it, but I was like, we're already doing this. We're making this change. I feel it's like outdated for him, or like, that's why I said I thought he had said this. So I grew up in a very religious household as well. So I feel you can say it, but there has to be change. Like, it has to be implemented, and you have to show me that you're making a change. You can make the statement, but I need to see something.
I love that you said that, Dave, because you can't say one thing and then do the other. I think you and Kayla are saying that same thing as well. And in many of these countries, especially, as I said, in the Southern Hemisphere, when in many of those countries, not only is it illegal to be gay, but you are targeted, tortured, jailed, and worse yet, even killed as a result of your sexuality. And these are places where the church is growing and thriving. And so you can, on the one hand, say that this is, the church is going to stand behind same-sex unions, civil unions, but not be just as vehemently speaking out against the LGBTQ plus community, who is targeted in the very countries where your religion still does hold sway. I feel like that is the ultimate hypocrisy. And when someone in my own family came out, it was religion that almost broke us. And it was a fight for devout Catholics in my family who do follow the good teachings of the church to overcome what I consider one of the horrible teachings of the church, which, as you said, Kayla, was to hate the sin, but not the sinner. It took an immense amount of work to get over our religion's teachings about homosexuality before the family could be healed. And that's not something that I want to pass on to my daughter, for example, as a Catholic.